Yeah.
And I'm the punter, so I think along the lines of I need a Saturday night motivation. You know, I think that's what punters do anyway.
Yeah.
Play me a Saturday night party night.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say about your own?
What music I would play, the style of my music?
Yeah.
So
in the punter's opinion,
that's easy. Like, people ask me that question all the time, and my answer to that is my music.
I'm gonna move this over here because we can.
That's cool.
I keep bumping it.
My music is a soundtrack to my life. So, as I said, whatever sort of mood I'm in at the time, I mean, I want people to appreciate my music, and I definitely, obviously, you know, I get it out there, I put it on the internet for people to listen to, and if people like it, great. If they don't, great. But it is a soundtrack to my life, and I feel that my music essentially is soundtrack music.
Hey.
This one?
Number beer.
So yeah, soundtrack music. Like, it's not. It might, you know, people might say it's hip hop, it's rap, it's this, it's that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's soundtrack music, and it could be the soundtrack to your. It could be the soundtrack to your life. Whatever you're going through in your life at the moment could be a soundtrack to your life. It could connect with you in a certain way. But yeah, it's a soundtrack.
Wicked. You know what I like about it, mate?
No.
All your artwork.
You like it?
Cool as hell.
Excellent. Cool. I'm
Cool
glad
as
you like
hell.
it.
It's like I don't even want to label it, but here I'm looking at the Still Sampling CD. It's got probably a 1982 Lamborghini Countach or something. I don't know.
It is. I think it is a bit. It's an early 80s.
Yeah, an early 80s Lamborghini, and a lot of your tracks on Bandcamp, where I bought mine.
Yeah.
Have and even the way you write the name of your Matty Fresh.
The title. Yeah.
It's like and to me, like an Atari, old school Atari. You know what I mean? When it comes to branding and stuff, everyone, a guy from Red Bull told me this, Steve Dart, you know, we now, with all this technology we have, we can all be our own media centre.
That's right.
So we should think of our own. It's hard for an Aussie. It is to go. I'm a brand, and this is who I am, and this is what my artwork is. And but I think it sorts out the good from the bad.
Well, it puts the spotlight on you if you have your own brand. Yeah. You know, apart from just saying, well, I'm Matt from Cannon Hill. I make beats. You know. But yeah, as you said, it does have that 80s vibe, and I'm big into the 80s, big into the 80s.
Who isn't?
Exactly, exactly. You know, it's just a timeless era. I was born in '79, so I grew up through the 80s and the 90s as well. So it's just that
drinking out of taps.
Yeah, of course. Something you
riding pushies.
Something you can't do in Japan, eh?
Yeah,
the water's just you need filtered water, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's. I'm all about that 80s vibe.
Yeah.
The artwork I don't do myself.
Okay.
So I've Alex Collison, thank you for the Still Sampling artwork.
Where's he from?
He is from Brisbane as well.
Yep.
And Caviar for the on Bandcamp. If you guys go to Bandcamp, you'll see the 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 compilations. So Caviar is a friend of mine from Sydney. He did the artwork on those ones. Right. I chose the font and the pictures. He took care of it.
Nice.
And the concept behind 100,000, 200,000 and 300,000, as you said, it does have the Atari font.
Yeah. Is it generally...
I don't know if it's an actual Atari font.
But
the reason for that is because I'm also into video games from that era.
Yeah.
Sega, Nintendo, Master System 2. So, and if you do listen to the albums, you will hear snippets in there about people talking about video games from that era. So it's video game themed.
Wow.
Those three in particular are video game themed.
Yep.
And if you check the titles as well, and you'll see that they all have classic video games. I've just taken names from Nintendo, Sega, arcade games, and just labelled them as those beats.
So how do you create?
That's a good question.
And let's nerd out. Let's get technical and nerd out. Because I just to start it off, I create all this stuff on GarageBand.
Okay.
I just got a laptop, a Mac that came with it, and I learned.
Sure, I totally understand. I also use a Mac. I use Logic, which is basically your next step up from GarageBand. It's more of a sort of a professional kit, I guess. the basis for me is listening to music first. Like, I'll be listening to a record, and I'll hear a part in a record and be like, I like that. I'll record it. I use a computer, my Mac. I use hardware, so I use an Akai MPC 2500. People out there, most people should know what that is. It's a machine with buttons, so you can sample into the machine, and you can chop the sample, and you can assign each part of the song to a button, right. And when you hit the button, it triggers that part. And you can also put your drums, you can put everything into this hardware. So yeah, I have hardware as well. I do everything through the hardware for that sound, and then dump it into the software, into Logic after that, mainly for editing, EQing, compressing, limiting, filtering, all that sort of stuff is done on computer. But it all starts out with just listening to music, and if I hear something, I'll either sample it from the record that I'm listening to, or I have a keyboard as well. Sometimes I just mess around on my keyboard and just play melodies. If something sticks, I'll just record it. So different days are different, start with different things. I usually start out with drums. I either take a drum break from a record, I either create my own drums from the drum library that I have. So yeah, it differs on different days, right. But usually I do start out with a drum pattern at least.
And is there a preference of the drum sound that comes to mind?
Like,
or I guess what you're saying is you hear it
You do. A lot of people use drum breaks, so they'll hear a drum break off a record, whether it's an old rock record, an old soul record, an old won't really say a jazz record because there's not really heavy drums. You're looking for more heavy sounding drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, you'll find a part on a record that is just the drums. It may only be a couple of seconds, but you just sample it. You can either loop it as it is, or you can chop it down into the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, the shakers, whatever it may have into it, and you can rearrange it.
So, but yeah, I didn't know this.
Yeah, so I don't like to use just the drum break unless it's really, really dope. A lot of the time I will chop it into the kick, the snare. I will isolate each part and then make my own drum break from that as well. Yeah.
How do you know, the few times I've tried to create things, there are only maybe 3 recordings I've ever made out of a whole bunch of crappy demos where I've gone, no, that's it, stop. Like, and it's even has that daggy edge. There's even some mistakes, and you just know that would be pretty hard to do.
Know when to stop.
Yeah,
it is, and it's also hard to know when to keep going, because sometimes you want something very simple, sometimes you want something with a bit more complexity to it. But just being around different people has basically taught me what's enough, what's not enough. A good friend of mine, actually in Japan, DJ Uppercut, he does a lot of commercials, like music for commercials, things like Nike, Lexus, big accounts, you know. And he's a great music producer, and he has taught me a lot about adding certain elements to songs and knowing when to stop. Yeah. So it's all a feeling. Everything's like it just gets to a point where you're like, okay, it's got everything it needs, and I just need to stop. You kind of know. It's hard to explain, but you do. You just kind of know that, right, it's time to stop. Or on the other end of the scale, I need to add something. Like I need to add like a bass line, or I need to add like
something's just at you. Like something's.
That's right. And you know,
because the reason I say it's very difficult when you're in a band with 4 other guys or girls or whatever. It's such a diplomatic. You have to argue about when.
That's right.
To stop, and when it's that's it.
That's right.
And there's no chance you can come back to that.
No, that's right. And I guess that's the beauty of being a music producer, so to speak, or a beat maker. You're by yourself. You don't have anyone telling you what to do. Stop here, start there. You just go with it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you can always just delete it. But yeah, just being around different people. For me personally, being around different people, both here in Japan and back home in Australia, they have taught me. You know, the people that have come before me have obviously taught me a lot about just music in general, as well as making music. Right. So yeah, now I've been doing this for a long time, so it's just to the point now where it's I know kind of enough's enough.
What do you think about? Did you hear this blew my mind?
Okay.
Now that people don't so much buy records or CDs, the product you buy isn't final anymore in the digital age. Did you hear what Kanye West did?
I don't think so, no. I mean, to be honest, I used to be a big Kanye West fan, and I bought a lot of his early records.
Me too.
But now I just think the direction he's going in is good for some people, but for me, I don't like it. It's not for me, that's all.
What he did was kind of... it was sounds horrible to me. Okay. Picture you buy a Kanye single on iTunes.
Okay.
All right. The next time, he's been changing the mixes.
Right.
So you bought it that day.
Yeah.
But because it's just a digital file.
Yeah.
He actually has remixed it and added things here and there.
Okay.
Because he's never happy, apparently.
Yeah, no.
So the next person that gets it is a slightly different version.
Wow, okay.
But because you still own it on iTunes, it will update. So you'll lose what you originally bought and get the updated version the next time you...
So you lose what you originally bought.
Yeah.
And it updates.
Still the same track name.
Of course.
But that's what they can do. Because it's just a file that you can update.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. Like, I think once I've made a song and it's done, whether I'm 100% happy with it or not, I tend to release it. Once I feel that it's done, even if I'm not happy with it, I put it out because you don't know. The next person might really, really like it.
Yeah.
as I said, I do this for me, but I also want other people to enjoy it.